Okay, hello everyone. I am here with Resa, and we are going to be discussing the DBT program that's offered with CMHA. So I'm going to give it to Resa here now to introduce herself, and then we'll start asking some questions about the program.
Thanks, Miranda. I'm Resa Heagle. I am working with CMHA Oxford's DBT team, which stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy, which is one of the programs that we have here at CMHA.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Resa, for doing this and being here with me today. So I've got a few questions that we've received from individuals in the community and also people who just don't know what DBT is. So we're just using this opportunity to educate people on the program and how they can get involved or just for information. So my first question that I have for you is, what is DBT?
DBT is kind of a hybrid that a psychologist from the States named Marsha Linehan developed from CBT. CBT was cognitive behavioral therapy. DBT is dialectical behavior therapy. And basically what she did was she developed a program that she could have used to help herself when she was 17 and acutely ill and hospitalized for 2 years due to suicidal attempts and cutting and other issues with self-harm. So they didn't know what to do with her, and she eventually was discharged from hospital after a lot of electroshock therapy and very heavy medications. Still just as desperate, just as scared, just as overwhelmed. But she thought to herself, if the hospital doesn't know what to do with me, I'm going to develop something for people like me and get the schooling to offer to them what I could have used. And eventually she put a program together and developed DBT.
Wow, that's great. I didn't even know that. That's pretty incredible that, you know, people are able to use their experiences to create something so incredible for millions and millions of people who are struggling. So how does someone get a referral to DBT? Are there certain requirements? How does this all kind of start for someone?
Well, there are 3 different ways you can get a referral. You can either self-refer, you can get a referral through your doctor, or a referral through your psychiatrist. Typically, DBT was designed for people with borderline personality disorder or borderline personality traits. However, we are not so rigid with that we necessarily refuse people who have other mental health issues that they would like help with. That said, obviously people with the original criteria that the program was developed for are going to be first priority, but that we've had people with anxiety, depression, other mental health issues who have really benefited from DBT as well, and we look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, great. Thank you. So if someone were to get a referral through CMHA, do they need to be connected through CMHA with, you know, case management or walk-in counseling? Can they just call, you know, reception and ask to speak with someone from the DBT team?
Yes, and you don't need to be connected necessarily with CMHA. We've had group participants in the past who have not been connected. The person that you would want to speak to if you called the CMHA main number, which is 519-539-8055, is Lucy Foreman, who is our team lead and heads up the DBT waitlist.
Okay, great. Very good information. Thank you for sharing that. So how long is DBT? If someone gets a referral, do they get into DBT right away? I know that you mentioned that there's a wait list. So when someone does begin DBT, how long is that program for them, and how
The
often?
program, oh, sorry, didn't mean
That's
to interrupt. The program's roughly a year long. It is our most challenging and intensive program. There are 3 modules that make up the program, and people will rotate in and out of the modules. So, and when you first enter, you might have other people in your group who've done 2 of the 3 modules or 1 of the 3 modules, or like you are just starting their first module and haven't done any. Now, the first module is normally from September to December. Then there's another, we break for Christmas. There's another one from January to April, and then another one from May to July. And we take the summer off for anybody who's interested who happens to be a parent, so it won't conflict with your childcare. So that is how it works. And the modules are 12 weeks long, each of the 3. So you have 9 months of group with breaks in between. And they are concerning 4 topics, which are mindfulness meditation, emotional regulation, and that just means how to respond instead of react emotionally. So you're not getting yourself so worked up that you're doing something that makes the situation worse. And you're less bothered by what other people say and do, and you can consider alternate interpretations instead of taking things so personally. Interpersonal effectiveness, which is all about setting boundaries, how to ask for what you want and how to say no. Distress tolerance, which is how to tolerate a crisis, because there will always be times when things happen that we can't change, and we have to know how to tolerate that without doing behaviors that, as I said, will either make a bad situation worse or getting into unhealthy coping. And mindfulness meditation, which teaches you how to stay here in the present instead of rehashing the painful past or worrying about the future.
Really, really good information. I'm glad you touched on the topics and just kind of what you're going to be learning during those 9 months. And I think it's great that you also, it's very accommodating for folks who have children and for the holidays, the summer. So you try to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to attend this program. Okay, and my last question for you, I'm just interested, what do some of the group graduates say about DBT?
I would love to answer that, but before I do, I'm going to put a quick little caveat in there about the intensity of the program.
Yes.
Just to set people up for success. It is a year-long program. So we find that the people with the borderline personality diagnosis do very well in it, and research supports that, because they are very desperate for change. They've tried everything, nothing is working. People who are highly motivated, who don't have that diagnosis, do very well in it. However, if you've never taken a program that long, and you come into it as, say, a kind of self-improvement exercise, you may find yourself overwhelmed by your first program ever trying something that long. So if you're not really desperate for change and your motivation is about average, you're not extremely motivated, but you think it sounds good, I would recommend trying a shorter program first and seeing how you do with that, rather than just plunging into a referral for DBT, because this is not a self-improvement thing. It is a turn your life upside down and change the way you look at everything thing. It has tremendous potential for growth, but if you jump into it right off the bat and you don't really understand the level of commitment, it could be too much too soon versus somebody who's taken some courses before and has more of an idea of the homework and the work required.
Really good advice. Thank you for sharing that. And are there now, when you mention taking other groups, is it basically anything, any, I guess, self-help type groups, but are of shorter time frame that you're suggesting for people to try out prior to DBT?
There are CBT groups that CMHA offers. Now, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it might be called Living Life to the Fullest. We did have that group. Whether or not we still do, I'm not sure. There is also a pre-DBT group for people who are interested and just want to get a taste of that. And the person to talk to about that group is Bonnie Alekno. And again, she can be reached at that same number. And that would give you a bit of an idea, if you weren't sure if you're ready for DBT, what DBT might consist of.
That's great. I think it's really good that people are able to do that pre-DBT just to see, you know, it's just good to learn if it's something that, you know, is going to work for you prior to committing, because I know
And
it is
sorry.
quite intense. That's okay. It is quite intense, right? So people do need to, you know, get a little taste of what they're going to be getting themselves into, right?
And it doesn't have to be the pre-DBT group.
Yeah.
It could be any, you know, 8-week group where you're used to doing homework and you're used to that level of commitment, because if your normal group is 2 months, this is 6 times that.
Yes.
So any normal group will give you an idea. Now, you did ask me a question that I put aside that I'd like to get back to.
Yeah.
And that was what graduates have to say about our program. And what we hear over and over and over is, why didn't anybody teach this in high school? I could have benefited from this, you know, growing up. Because these are, a lot of DBT is helping people have a lot of, not just insight into themselves, but understanding and having compassion for themselves, that they did the best that they could with the knowledge they had, and they can do a lot better when they have more tools. And DBT gives you the tools to respond so differently to situations that would have been overwhelming in the past. The conversation no longer becomes, what's wrong with me that I'm so overwhelmed by these situations, or I make crises worse, but okay, now I have words for what other people are doing differently, and I see them as tools that I can use too. It was just knowledge that I lacked. And people feel so much better about themselves looking back, having more understanding that it's teachable, that it's not that anybody's permanently flawed, it's just teachable skills that they didn't get for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, with why didn't they teach this in school? I think that there's a lot of need for you know, mental health and emotional regulation to be taught to, you know, individuals at a younger age, right? But and another really interesting thing is, I've been working on some actually CBT workbooks with my younger nieces, and just by doing these workbooks, I purchased them on Amazon. How it lays it all out for the child to understand a bit better is just incredible. And as I'm working through this workbook with my nieces, it was just, I was learning a lot about myself, and you know, emotional regulation was huge, and just how we respond. So there are many resources, and I'm thinking, now that we've had this discussion, Resa, when I post this, I will include Lucy and Bonnie's, just their names. So if people do call in to chat, and what they can chat with them about. And also, if you happen to have any other resources for people prior to DBT, maybe just something for them to dip their toes in, if there are any workbooks or books in general or anything like that that we can include to this video, I'll be happy to add that as well for people to utilize.
Well, there are many videos on DBT and the DBT skills in the internet. So you can always Google DBT videos and have a look at the different skills. And I know that the peer team has also done some videos about DBT. So that might be a good introduction to some of the skills. If you want to write or find out more about Marsha Linehan's story, which is fascinating, you can look up Marsha Linehan. That's Linehan. And there's I think it might be a New York Times article on how she developed DBT,
Yeah.
which is very, very inspiring.
Oh yeah, what a great story. Definitely. So all of that information is so helpful. Before we wrap this up too, it's just come to mind, there is a DBT alumni group as well, that has been going for quite some time. So basically post DBT, once you've graduated, a group of individuals meet every week to then touch on the different topics that you would have gone through during DBT, just to keep it fresh and to have those healthy conversations around, how was your week last week, and what DBT skills did you really need to use during certain situations, etc. So when that group starts up again, we'll be sure to update everyone on start dates and how it's going to look. But that's also something, that's also a group that's available to you post DBT, which is really, really good. I think it's great to keep all of that information very fresh and continue to use those skills once you've learned them.
Absolutely. And we're extremely proud of our alumni and the fact that they've managed to keep themselves going, and how much different members of that group look forward to the support and understanding and camaraderie within it.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much, Resa, for all of this great information. I will be sure to include some of the resources that we've discussed during this video to the post with this. And if anyone has any further questions, be sure to reach out. We're here for you to give you any information that you may need. And again, thank you so much for your time today, Resa, and for giving us all some insight on the DBT program.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.
Goodbye.